34-year-old struggling nurse Emily Winters was facing foreclosure on her tiny basement apartment, while crushed beneath $217,000 of overwhelming medical school debt and working 3 exhausting healthcare jobs just to afford instant noodles when concerned family members and financial counselors unanimously warned her to reject the seemingly worthless fire-ravaged Baptist church in rural Oregon that carried $78,000 in delinquent property taxes, lacked basic utilities, suffered extensive damage from a 2022 lightning strike, and sat isolated 35 miles from the nearest town. But she had no idea that investigating the strange metallic sound beneath the charred baptismal floorboards would reveal a temperature-controlled hidden compartment containing 165 classified CIA surveillance files from covert domestic operations between 1971 and 1998, including records on environmental activists, anti-nuclear protesters, and political dissidents that had vanished from government archives for decades, transforming a desperate healthcare worker facing homelessness into the recipient of a $14.6 million federal whistleblower reward and exclusive consulting contracts, with Senate Intelligence Committees investigating years of unauthorized domestic surveillance. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. At 34 years old, Emily Winters stared at her 6th foreclosure notice in 8 months, surrounded by medical school loan statements totaling to $117.00 from her nursing degree that had promised fulfilling career opportunities, but delivered only part-time positions paying $24 per hour without benefits or stability. The medical debt catastrophe that had consumed Emily's adult life included undergraduate loans of $82,000 for her biology degree from Pacific Northwest University, nursing school debt of $107,000 from Oregon Health Sciences University, and accumulated interest and penalties that had ballooned her total obligations to $217.00 despite her determined efforts to minimize borrowing through work-study programs, clinical assistantships, and weekend employment that barely covered essential living expenses. The crushing financial reality keeping Emily awake every night in her 375-square-foot basement apartment in Portland's struggling East Side district was that her combined monthly income of $3,240 from 3 different healthcare positions could no longer cover even her most basic survival expenses, while minimum student loan payments devoured $1,980 monthly, leaving her with only $1,260 for rent, food, transportation, health insurance, and every other necessity of life in an increasingly unaffordable housing market. The career preparation Emily had pursued through 6 years of higher education, including clinical rotations at regional hospitals, volunteer work with homeless outreach programs, and specialized training in trauma care, had led to employment opportunities that paid wages insufficient for someone with advanced nursing credentials to achieve even modest financial stability. The morning of January 23, 2025, began like every other overwhelming day in Emily's increasingly desperate existence, with the 4:30 a.m. alarm that allowed her to complete loan deferment applications, income-based repayment recalculations, and collection agency negotiations before leaving for her first job. At 6:45 a.m., the relentless schedule controlling Emily's every waking moment included 10 hours at Riverside Community Hospital providing geriatric care at $24 per hour, 6 hours of evening work at an urgent care clinic paying $22 per hour, and weekend shifts at a hospice facility that provided $26 per hour, but required on-call availability that left Emily chronically exhausted and unable to pursue better-paying opportunities. The student loan nightmare that had begun during Emily's undergraduate years at Pacific Northwest University included federal loans that seemed reasonable when borrowed, but accumulated substantial interest during nursing school deferment periods, private loans with variable interest rates that had skyrocketed from 5.1% to 12.4% since graduation, and loan servicer transfers that resulted in missed communications, incorrect payment applications, and default warnings that arrived without adequate notice or explanation. The loan servicing complications Emily navigated included Navient, Great Lakes, and Ed Financial transfers that created administrative confusion, payment processing errors that didn't reduce principal balances despite months of on-time payments, and customer service representatives who provided conflicting information about income-driven repayment options and forgiveness programs. The nursing school financing decisions that had seemed necessary for Emily's career goals included additional borrowing for living expenses during unpaid clinical rotations, required for degree completion, certification exam preparation costs that added $3,800 to her debt burden, and research project expenses that weren't covered by assistantships but were essential for program completion. The career preparation investments Emily had made included nursing license fees of $950, continuing education requirements costing $1,700 annually, and professional liability insurance at $420 yearly that were necessary for employment, but consumed income she desperately needed for basic survival. The employment reality Emily discovered after graduation included nursing positions that required bachelor's degrees but paid wages comparable to jobs requiring only associate-level education, healthcare facilities that offered meaningful work but couldn't afford competitive salaries due to insurance reimbursement limitations, and government positions that provided better compensation but required year-long waiting lists and extensive background investigations. The job search complications Emily experienced included positions advertised at competitive salaries that were reduced during hiring processes, full-time opportunities that were converted to part-time contracts without benefits, and employment offers that were withdrawn due to budget cuts or organizational restructuring. The multiple employment necessity Emily had adopted included morning geriatric care at Riverside Community Hospital, serving elderly patients with complex medical needs and chronic conditions, evening urgent care at Eastside Medical Clinic providing immediate treatment for non-emergency conditions, and weekend hospice care at Serenity House supervising end-of-life care during overnight shifts. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The work schedule coordination consuming Emily's non-working hours included transportation between 3 different job locations across Portland, documentation requirements for each position that demanded unpaid time for patient notes and treatment, planning, and continuing education obligations necessary for maintaining professional licensing, but conflicting with work schedules. The income-based repayment complications Emily navigated included annual recertification requirements demanding extensive documentation of income and expenses, payment calculations that changed monthly based on variable part-time earnings, and forgiveness program requirements seemingly designed to prevent successful completion rather than provide genuine debt relief. The public service loan forgiveness pursuit Emily attempted included employment certification forms frequently rejected due to technical errors, payment counting discrepancies that eliminated months of progress toward forgiveness, and program requirement changes that occurred without adequate notice to borrowers who had been making payments. Based on previous guidelines, the forbearance and deferment cycles Emily experienced included temporary payment suspensions, providing immediate relief but accumulating capitalized interest that increased total debt balances, economic hardship deferments requiring detailed financial documentation and annual renewal processes, and unemployment deferments during brief periods between contract positions that created gaps in payment history affecting forgiveness program eligibility. The interest capitalization occurring during forbearance periods had increased Emily's principal balance from $189,000 at graduation to $217, zero after 22 months of sporadic payments and temporary suspensions. The credit score destruction resulting from student loan payment difficulties had reduced Emily's FICO score from 712 to 386, eliminating her access to conventional credit cards, apartment rentals in safer neighborhoods, and employment opportunities, requiring credit checks for positions involving financial responsibilities. The credit damage created cascading problems, including security deposit requirements of $1, $0 to $2,400 for utilities and rental applications, higher insurance premiums increasing monthly expenses by $178 for auto coverage and disqualification from federal employment opportunities requiring financial background investigations. The housing crisis Emily faced in Portland included basement apartment rent, consuming 68% of her gross income, utilities and basic expenses exceeding her remaining earnings after student loan payments, and frequent moves when landlords discovered her debt-to-income ratio exceeded acceptable lending standards. The rental application complications Emily encountered included application fees of $175 to $175 per property, consuming money needed for food, security deposit requirements exceeding her available savings, and income verification standards requiring gross monthly income of 3 times rental amounts, while her variable part-time earnings made income documentation difficult. The transportation complications threatening Emily's ability to maintain multiple employment positions included a 2013 Honda Civic needing $2,800 in repairs she couldn't afford, expired vehicle registration due to inability to pay renewal fees, and pass emissions testing with necessary mechanical work, and auto insurance cancellation occurring when automatic payments failed due to insufficient funds in her checking account. The vehicle reliability problems affecting Emily's employment included frequent breakdowns making her late for mandatory shifts, maintenance issues requiring emergency repairs, using payday loan advances at predatory interest rates, and transportation uncertainty preventing Emily from accepting additional work opportunities, requiring reliable arrival times. The health insurance complications Emily faced included employer-sponsored coverage unavailable through her part-time positions, marketplace insurance premiums consuming 20% of her gross income, and high-deductible plans providing minimal coverage for routine health care while requiring co-payments she couldn't afford. The healthcare access limitations resulting from Emily's insurance situation included postponement of routine preventive care, rationing of prescription medications to make them last longer, and avoidance of mental health treatment despite working in trauma-exposed positions requiring emotional support and stress management. The irony of Emily's situation included providing health care for others while being unable to access health care for herself, understanding the importance of preventive medicine while postponing her own care due to financial constraints, and witnessing daily the impact of health inequality while experiencing it firsthand. The food insecurity developing during Emily's financial crisis included reliance on food banks, serving healthcare workers, elimination of grocery shopping except for basic necessities like rice and beans, and frequent meal skipping when work schedules conflicted with food service availability. The nutritional challenges accompanying Emily's financial stress included irregular eating patterns due to long work hours and transportation between job sites, limited access to fresh foods due to time and financial constraints, and physical exhaustion making meal preparation difficult after working 70-hour weeks across multiple emotionally demanding positions. The professional development limitations Emily experienced included inability to attend conferences, providing networking opportunities and career advancement, elimination of continuing education beyond minimum licensing requirements, and reduced participation in professional organizations due to membership fees, competing with basic survival expenses. The career advancement barriers resulting from Emily's financial situation included geographic limitations preventing pursuit of better opportunities in other cities, inability to take unpaid internships or volunteer positions that could lead to permanent employment, and time constraints eliminating evening classes or additional certifications qualifying her for higher paying positions. The student loan default consequences Emily faced included wage garnishment threats, reducing her take-home pay by 15%, Tax refund seizure, eliminating her annual $1,050 refund needed for vehicle registration and basic maintenance and collection. Agency harassment, including daily phone calls and threatening letters demanding immediate payment of amounts exceeding her annual income. The default rehabilitation requirements loan servicers offered included payment amounts exceeding Emily's available income after basic survival expenses, rehabilitation programs requiring 9 consecutive on-time payments without accounting for variable part-time earnings, and consolidation options extending repayment periods while increasing total interest costs. The family relationship strain developing during Emily's crisis included disappointed parents who had co-signed private loans and now faced their own credit damage from Emily's payment difficulties, siblings who questioned Emily's career choices and suggested abandoning nursing for more lucrative fields, and extended family members offering advice about just paying off the loans without understanding the mathematical impossibility of Emily's situation. The generational misunderstanding characterizing family discussions included older relatives who had attended college when tuition costs were manageable, assumptions that nursing would provide middle-class income and stability, and frustration with Emily's resistance to career changes that would abandon her professional training and personal values. The social isolation characterizing Emily's current situation included elimination of social activities requiring spending money, reduced participation in professional networking events due to registration fees and transportation costs, and emotional exhaustion making maintaining friendships difficult during the constant stress of juggling multiple jobs while managing overwhelming debt obligations. The relationship impact accompanying Emily's financial crisis included dating limitations, when every conversation involved financial stress, inability to participate in social activities with colleagues who could afford entertainment and travel, and isolation from nursing school friends who had found better paying positions or had family financial support Emily lacked. The mental health impact Emily experienced included anxiety attacks triggered by collection agency calls, depression symptoms affecting her job performance in emotionally demanding healthcare positions, and chronic stress causing physical symptoms, including insomnia, digestive problems, and frequent headaches requiring medical attention she couldn't afford. The irony of Emily's situation included providing health assessment and care for patients while being unable to access health care for her own stress-related symptoms, understanding mental health principles while experiencing financial trauma, affecting every aspect of her daily life, and offering compassionate care to others while receiving none herself. The professional ethics complications rising from Emily's financial stress included conflicts between her commitment to patient advocacy and her need to maintain employment at facilities, with policies she disagreed with, time management challenges, when financial crisis consumed mental energy needed for effective clinical work, and performance concerns when chronic stress affected her ability to provide quality services to vulnerable populations depending on her professional expertise. The utility service threats escalating throughout January included electricity disconnection warnings from Portland General Electric due to $420 in unpaid bills accumulated when Emily prioritized student loan payments over utilities, internet service cancellation, eliminating her ability to complete required documentation for all 3 employment positions, and cell phone service suspension warnings threatening her communication capabilities essential for on-call hospice work. The utility restoration requirements Emily couldn't meet included security deposits of $300, $500 per service, payment of outstanding balances plus reconnection fees, and same-day payment demands requiring funds needed for transportation and food. The banking relationship deterioration occurring when Emily's checking account was overdrawn for 5 consecutive months included automatic closure by KeyBank due to excessive overdraft fees totaling $1,480 in accumulated penalties, elimination of direct deposit capabilities forcing reliance on expensive check cashing services, and forced use of prepaid debit cards charging fees for basic transactions, while providing no banking services that could help establish financial stability. The financial isolation resulting from losing traditional banking access, forced Emily to conduct transactions through money orders and cash advances, consuming additional money, while providing no fraud protection or credit building opportunities. The employment discrimination Emily encountered included age-based assumptions that she was inexperienced despite her advanced education, salary negotiations resulting in reduced offers when employers learned about her debt obligations, and performance evaluations reflecting concerns about her financial stability, affecting her professional judgment in positions requiring decision-making about patient care and resource allocation. The professional reputation concerns emerging during Emily's crisis included documentation of stress-related performance issues, potentially affecting future employment opportunities, concerns from supervisors about her emotional stability during patient interactions, and potential implications for professional licensing if her financial problems became known to state regulatory boards. The prescription medication access problems developing when Emily's insurance coverage required high deductibles included elimination of anxiety medications costing $112 monthly after insurance, rationing of asthma medications during Portland's severe allergy seasons, and avoidance of preventive medications that could prevent more expensive health problems. The medical care postponement Emily implemented included cancellation of routine gynecological appointments requiring co-payments and time off work, elimination of dental cleanings that could prevent expensive problems, and avoidance of vision care despite working extensively with computer screens and medical charts that strained her eyesight. The seasonal employment complications Emily experienced included reduced hours at the hospice during administrative restructuring periods, elimination of urgent care overtime during holiday periods when supervisor coverage decreased, and competition for additional shifts when other part-time employees needed extra income during slow periods. The income volatility resulting from multiple part-time positions included monthly earnings ranging from $2,750 to $3,890, depending on patient census and available shifts, making budgeting impossible and preventing consistent student loan payments that could improve her payment history. The professional development debt Emily accumulated included conference registration fees charged to credit cards during nursing school, professional organization memberships providing networking opportunities but consuming money needed for basic expenses, and continuing education courses required for licensing renewal but not covered by employers. Benefiting from Emily's updated training, the career investment costs continuing to accumulate included professional liability insurance annual renewals, state licensing fees, and background check costs for employment applications, competing with food and transportation expenses. The neighborhood safety concerns Emily faced in her affordable housing included increasing crime rates in areas where she could afford rent, lack of reliable transportation, affecting her ability to leave dangerous situations, and isolation from support networks due to frequent moves when landlords discovered her financial situation. The housing instability characterizing Emily's living situation included temporary arrangements with roommates who moved frequently, sublet situations providing no legal protections, and constant apartment searching consuming time and money needed for work and debt management. The tax complications Emily experienced included inability to claim education credits due to her loan default status, loss of tax refunds to student loan collection eliminating her primary source of emergency funds, and additional tax obligations when loan forgiveness amounts were treated as taxable income. Despite providing no actual financial benefit, the financial planning impossibility characterizing Emily's situation included inability to establish emergency savings when every dollar was needed for immediate survival, elimination of retirement planning despite working for employers offering 401k plans, and avoidance of financial counseling services charging fees she couldn't afford. The debt collection harassment Emily experienced included daily phone calls beginning at 8 a.m. and continuing until 9 p.m., threatening letters warning of wage garnishment and asset seizure, and collection agency representatives demanding payment arrangements exceeding Emily's available income after basic survival expenses. The collection agency tactics Emily encountered included threats to contact her employers about debt obligations, warnings that her professional licenses could be affected by unpaid student loans, and demands for financial disclosure revealing her complete inability to satisfy debt obligations while maintaining employment and healthcare positions. The mathematical impossibility of Emily's situation was that her minimum monthly obligations totaled $3,870 while her variable income averaged $3,240, creating a deficit of $630 monthly that grew larger as interest and penalties accumulated on unpaid balances. The conventional financial advice Emily received from credit counselors included bankruptcy recommendations that wouldn't eliminate student loan debt, debt consolidation options requiring credit scores she no longer possessed, and income increase, suggestions ignoring the reality of nursing salary limitations and the time investment required to change career fields. The legal proceeding threats collection agencies made included garnishment warnings, reducing Emily's take-home pay below survival levels, asset seizure possibilities including her vehicle essential for maintaining employment, and credit reporting, further damaging her ability to secure housing and employment. The legal representation Emily couldn't afford included consultation fees of $250–350 per hour for attorneys experienced in student loan defense, court filing fees for bankruptcy proceedings that wouldn't address her primary debt obligations, and travel expenses for legal proceedings conflicting with work schedules she couldn't afford to miss. At this moment of complete financial collapse, with student loan debt exceeding her lifetime earning potential in nursing, while struggling to maintain employment providing meaningful service but inadequate compensation, Emily faced an impossible choice between abandoning her professional calling for higher-paying work contradicting her values, or continuing in healthcare while accepting homelessness and financial destruction seemingly inevitable given the mathematical reality of her obligations versus income potential in her chosen field. What Emily couldn't have known as she prepared for another day of collection calls and financial terror that January morning was that a certified letter she would discover in her mailbox that afternoon would present an opportunity seemingly guaranteed to complete her financial destruction while actually providing the discovery, transforming her desperate circumstances into extraordinary wealth and historical significance exceeding anything a struggling nurse from Portland could have imagined during those dark months of debt and professional disappointment consuming her life. Since graduating with the education supposed to provide career stability and meaningful work, the educational catastrophe destroying Emily Winter's financial life and transforming her from an idealistic college student into a debt-trapped nurse had begun on what seemed like a triumphant day in August 2016 when 19-year-old Emily received her acceptance letter to Pacific Northwest University's biology program, along with a financial aid package, appearing to make her dream of helping vulnerable populations achievable through higher education. Emily, the first person in her family to attend a four-year university, had grown up in Medford, Oregon, watching her father, Thomas, struggle as a single parent working construction during the day and delivering pizzas at night while raising two children on wages never quite covering basic expenses despite 70-hour work weeks. The family financial background shaping Emily's educational decisions included her father's annual income of $34 from two jobs providing no benefits or advancement opportunities, child support payments never materializing from her mother, who had left when Emily was 4, and household expenses consuming every available dollar while leaving no money for college savings or educational planning. The generational poverty cycle Emily was determined to break included watching her younger brother Jack drop out of high school at 16 to work warehouse jobs, paying better than their father's construction work but offering no long-term security, and seeing extended family members struggle with medical bills and healthcare access. That motivated her interest in nursing. The college recruitment process convincing Emily to pursue higher education included guidance counselors emphasizing student loans as investments in her future easily repaid. With increased earning potential from nursing degrees, university financial 8 officers presenting borrowing as normal and necessary for achieving career goals, and family members encouraging Emily to do whatever necessary to obtain education, providing opportunities they never had. The financial aid package Emily received for her freshman year included $6,200 in federal Pell Grant funding not requiring repayment, $5,500 in subsidized federal loans, $2,000 in unsubsidized federal loans, and a $16,500 gap between actual costs, and aid requiring private loans or family contribution. The private loan necessity becoming apparent during Emily's freshman orientation included living expenses exceeding the university's cost of attendance estimates, textbook costs averaging $1,400 per semester despite used book purchases and rental programs, and transportation expenses for traveling between Medford and Portland consuming additional hundreds monthly. The private loan application process Emily navigated with her father's co-signature included Sallie Mae loans at 7.85% interest rates, Discover student loans at 7.25% variable rates increasing over time, and Wells Fargo education loans requiring immediate interest payments while Emily was enrolled full-time. The work-study program limitations Emily discovered during her first semester included campus jobs, paying minimum wage for maximum 15 hours weekly, scheduling conflicts between work requirements and class attendance affecting academic performance, and competition for positions providing slightly better pay or relevant experience for pre-nursing students. The off-campus employment Emily pursued to supplement work-study income included weekend hospital, custodial positions paying $11 per hour for overnight shifts, retail jobs at Target and Walgreens providing $10 per hour but requiring availability during class times, and caregiving work paying $14 per hour but inconsistent and requiring transportation to clients' homes. The academic performance pressure Emily experienced during undergraduate years included maintaining the 3 for GPA required for nursing program admission, while working 28 hours weekly to cover living expenses, completing science coursework demanding extensive laboratory and study time competing with work obligations, and participating in healthcare volunteer experiences required for program applications, but reducing available hours for income-generating employment. The grade point average struggles Emily faced included difficulty concentrating during lectures, after working overnight hospital shifts, reduced study time due to work schedule demands, and stress-related health problems affecting test performance and assignment completion. The summer employment challenges Emily encountered included returning to Medford, where job opportunities were limited to retail and food service positions paying minimum wage, inability to maintain campus housing during summer months requiring temporary accommodation, and pressure to work full-time during breaks to reduce borrowing for the following academic year, while completing summer coursework to stay on track for graduation. The summer living arrangements Emily managed included staying with her father in the overcrowded apartment, where privacy for studying was impossible, temporary housing with relatives charging rent she could barely afford, and brief periods of sleeping in her car when other arrangements fell through. The major selection pressure influencing Emily's academic trajectory included biology professors encouraging students to pursue healthcare education for meaningful career opportunities, career counselors emphasizing that bachelor's degrees in science provided limited employment options without additional education, and hospital volunteer supervisors explaining that registered nursing positions required BSN-level training. The nursing program preparation consuming Emily's junior year included nursing entrance exam preparation courses costing $780, application fees totaling $100 for 6 different nursing programs, and interview expenses exceeding $1,800 for campus visits and admission meetings. The undergraduate loan accumulation occurring despite Emily's attempts to minimize borrowing included annual increases in tuition and fees averaging 5.5% yearly, living expense inflation exceeding her work income growth, and textbook costs continuing to rise despite digital alternatives and rental programs. The loan servicer communications Emily received during college included annual disclosures showing growing balances, interest rate notifications for variable loans, increasing from 7.5% to 9.75% during her junior year, and exit counseling requirements, emphasizing repayment obligations without adequately explaining income-driven options, or forgiveness programs. The family financial strain developing during Emily's undergraduate years included her father taking second mortgage on their modest home to help with college expenses, reduced household budget for Jack's educational needs while supporting Emily's college costs, and credit card debt Thomas accumulated for emergency expenses arising while helping fund Emily's education. The guilt and pressure Emily experienced included awareness her family was sacrificing for her education, expectations her degree would lead to financial success helping her family, and anxiety about justifying the investment her father was making in her future. The nursing program decision Emily made during her senior year included acceptance to Oregon Health Sciences University's Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, with partial funding through a clinical assistantship providing $14,000 annually, plus partial tuition reduction, but requiring additional borrowing of $30 yearly for living expenses and program costs not covered by the assistantship. The nursing program selection factors influencing Emily's choice included OHSU's reputation for training nurses serving rural and underserved communities, proximity to her family in Oregon, and specialization tracks in emergency and trauma care aligning with Emily's career goals. The clinical assistantship responsibilities Emily accepted included 25 hours weekly assisting nursing faculty with research on emergency department protocols, participating in simulation laboratory instruction for undergraduate nursing students, and administrative support for the nursing department requiring evening and weekend availability. During program events and student recruitment activities, the assistantship compensation, providing partial tuition reduction, didn't cover mandatory fees, health insurance, clinical uniform requirements, or technology needs, adding for $200 annually to Emily's educational expenses. The nursing school living arrangements Emily managed included shared apartments with other nursing students, where rent consumed 65% of her assistantship income, utilities and basic expenses exceeding her remaining funds, and transportation costs for clinical placement, requirements demanding reliable vehicle access for traveling to hospitals throughout Portland. The vehicle necessity, becoming apparent during Emily's first semester of nursing school, included purchasing a used 2011 Honda Civic for $9,400 financed through a credit union loan at 13.2% interest, auto insurance costs exceeding $110 monthly due to her age and limited credit history, and maintenance expenses competing with food and rent for limited budget allocation. The clinical placement complications arising during Emily's nursing training included unpaid rotations at regional hospitals requiring 36 hours weekly of patient care, documentation and training activities, transportation to placement sites, often 25 to 45 miles from campus, and professional uniform requirements, consuming additional hundreds for scrubs and equipment appropriate for clinical settings. The clinical supervision requirements affecting Emily's schedule included weekly individual meetings with nurse preceptors, post-clinical conferences occurring during evening hours, and continuing education attendance requiring travel to professional development workshops. The graduation requirements Emily encountered during her final year of nursing school included NCLEX preparation courses essential for licensing exam success, leadership practicum experiences requiring flexible scheduling, and capstone project completion demanding additional meetings with faculty advisors. Beyond regular coursework obligations, the graduation completion pressure Emily experienced included program requirements that couldn't be waived or postponed, licensing exam preparation costs for study materials and practice tests exceeding $1,400, and time management challenges when capstone work competed with assistantship duties and part-time employment needed for basic survival. The nursing school social isolation Emily experienced included limited time for relationships, due to clinical rotations and study obligations, financial inability to participate in social activities with classmates who had family financial support, and geographic distance from undergraduate friends who had entered the workforce. Immediately after graduation, the peer comparison stress affecting Emily's nursing school experience included classmates receiving family financial support for living expenses, students affording to focus exclusively on academics without employment obligations, and colleagues participating in unpaid volunteer opportunities, providing networking advantages, but financially unfeasible for Emily. The mental health impact accumulating during Emily's nursing training included anxiety about clinical performance while managing work obligations, depression symptoms related to constant financial stress and social isolation, and emotional exhaustion from providing patient care. While struggling with personal mental health challenges, the irony of nursing training Emily experienced included learning to assess and treat physical and emotional distress while experiencing financial trauma affecting every aspect of her daily life, studying self-care and wellness principles while being unable to afford mental health treatment for her own stress-related symptoms. The professional development expenses accumulating during nursing school included licensing application fees of $380, background check costs for clinical placement clearances totaling to $120, and conference attendance providing networking opportunities, but requiring registration fees, travel costs, and time away from paid employment. The professional organization membership costs recommended for career development included American Nurses Association dues at $174 annually, State Board of Nursing fees, and specialty certification programs improving employment prospects but requiring additional time and financial investment. The loan counseling sessions Emily attended during nursing school included federal loan exit counseling emphasizing repayment obligations, private loan disclosures explaining variable interest rate, risks, and financial literacy workshops providing budgeting advice for people with regular income, rather than addressing the reality of variable clinical assistant wages. The loan consolidation options presented to Emily included federal loan consolidation simplifying payments but potentially eliminating benefits, private loan refinancing requiring excellent credit scores she didn't possess, and income-driven repayment plans seeming manageable based on projected nursing salaries. The graduation ceremony marking completion of Emily's BSN program in May 2022 included celebration with family members proud of her achievement, but concerned about her debt obligations, job search pressure beginning immediately due to loan repayment requirements, and recognition that her total educational debt of $189 exceeded annual starting salaries for nursing positions she was qualified to pursue. The post-graduation reality Emily faced included 6-month grace periods on federal loans, providing temporary relief but accumulating interest, private loan repayment requirements beginning immediately, and employment search in a nursing job market offering meaningful work at wages insufficient for loan repayment and basic living expenses. The licensing examination pressure Emily encountered after graduation included nursing board exam fees of $275, study material costs exceeding $500, and test preparation time competing with job search activities and income-generating employment. The licensing requirements affecting Emily's early career included finding nurse preceptors willing to provide required supervision for minimal compensation, documentation requirements demanding additional unpaid time beyond patient contact hours, and continuing education obligations requiring ongoing financial investment. In professional development, the first employment reality Emily discovered included nursing positions requiring bachelor's degrees but paying wages comparable to jobs requiring only associate-level education, healthcare facilities offering meaningful work but unable to compete with private sector salaries, and government positions providing better compensation but requiring extensive background investigations and waiting periods exceeding 8 months. The salary negotiation limitations Emily encountered included standardized wage scales, leaving little room for individual negotiation. benefit packages not offsetting lower base salaries, and geographic limitations preventing pursuit of opportunities in higher-paying markets due to licensing requirements and family obligations. The loan repayment shock beginning 6 months after graduation included minimum monthly payments totaling $1,980 for federal and private loans combined, interest rates increasing during nursing school deferment periods, and payment calculations based on standard 10-year repayment schedules assuming higher income levels than nursing positions provided. The income-driven repayment application process Emily pursued included extensive documentation requirements, annual recertification obligations, and payment calculations, providing some relief, but extending repayment periods while increasing total interest costs over the life of the loans. The employment benefits reality Emily discovered included nursing positions, offering health insurance with high deductibles and limited mental health coverage, retirement plans requiring employee contributions she couldn't afford while managing loan payments, and paid time-off policies discouraging taking vacation or sick leave due to coverage requirements. In clinical settings, the professional liability insurance necessity Emily encountered included annual premiums of $420 for coverage required by employers and licensing boards, continuing education requirements costing $1,700 annually for license renewal, and professional development expectations competing with basic survival expenses. The economic uncertainty impact affecting Emily's early career included healthcare funding adjustments reducing available positions and increasing competition among qualified candidates, medical facilities eliminating benefits or reducing hours to manage budget constraints, and public health hiring freezes limiting opportunities in better-paying government positions. The employment instability characterizing Emily's early nursing career included temporary positions, providing no job security, part-time opportunities requiring multiple employers for adequate income, and high turnover rates in healthcare organizations, creating constant job searching and interview expenses. The family expectation pressure Emily experienced after graduation included assumptions her master's degree would lead to middle-class income and stability, questions about when she could help family members financially as her education had promised, and disappointment when Emily's income wasn't sufficient for the lifestyle family members associated with advanced healthcare education. The generational misunderstanding characterizing discussions about Emily's career included older relatives who had achieved financial stability without college degrees, assumptions that higher education automatically led to higher income, and frustration with Emily's inability to achieve rapid financial success despite educational investment. The relationship impact Emily's financial situation created included dating challenges, when every activity required money she didn't have, social isolation from colleagues who could afford entertainment and travel, and family stress when Emily couldn't contribute to household expenses or family emergencies. The peer comparison stress continuing after graduation included classmates securing better-paying positions through family connections, colleagues receiving family financial support, allowing them to accept lower-paying but prestigious opportunities, and social media comparisons with undergraduate friends entering private sector careers with higher starting salaries. The professional disillusionment Emily experienced included recognition that nursing education prepared her for meaningful work but not financial stability, awareness that student loans created debt obligations exceeding the earning potential of her chosen profession, and conflict between personal values drawing her to healthcare and financial pressures, suggesting career change might be necessary for survival. The career counseling Emily pursued included meetings with professors acknowledging financial challenges in nursing but encouraging persistence, career advisors suggesting additional specialization that would require more borrowing, and financial planners recommending career changes, abandoning her professional training and personal calling. The loan servicer complications Emily encountered during her early career included transfers between different companies creating communication gaps and payment processing errors, customer service representatives providing conflicting information about repayment options and forgiveness programs, and automated systems not accounting for variable income or special circumstances affecting payment ability. The loan modification attempts Emily pursued included hardship deferments, providing temporary relief, but accumulating interest, income-driven recalculations requiring extensive documentation and annual renewals, and consolidation options simplifying payments but potentially eliminating benefits or forgiveness eligibility. The credit score impact resulting from occasional missed payments during periods of reduced income included damage affecting Emily's ability to rent apartments, qualify for lower interest rates on necessary loans, and pass background checks for some nursing positions requiring financial responsibility assessments. The financial planning impossibility Emily faced included inability to establish emergency savings when loan payments consumed all available income above basic survival expenses, elimination of retirement planning despite employer matching programs, providing long-term security, and avoidance of financial goal setting when immediate survival required all available resources, and mental energy. The debt counseling Emily pursued through nonprofit credit counseling organizations included budgeting advice not addressing the reality of income insufficient for both loan payments and basic living expenses, debt management plans requiring monthly payments exceeding her available income, and bankruptcy consultations revealing student loans weren't dischargeable, while bankruptcy would damage her credit and potentially affect professional licensing. The financial education Emily received through these consultations included recognition her debt-to-income ratio exceeded manageable levels, understanding that standard financial advice didn't apply to her situation, and awareness that conventional debt resolution strategies were inadequate for addressing student loan obligations, exceeding reasonable borrowing levels. The mental health deterioration Emily experienced during her transition from nursing school to professional practice included anxiety attacks triggered by loan payment due dates, depression symptoms affecting her job performance in emotionally demanding healthcare positions, and stress-related physical symptoms including insomnia, digestive problems, and frequent headaches requiring medical attention she couldn't afford. The professional therapy need Emily recognized but couldn't access included understanding her financial trauma was affecting her ability to provide effective nursing care, awareness her personal stress was creating countertransference issues, with patients facing similar financial struggles, and recognition her own mental health was deteriorating while providing health services to others. The geographic limitation impact Emily's student loans created included inability to relocate for better employment opportunities due to moving costs and licensing transfer requirements, restriction to Oregon's job market offering limited nursing positions with competitive salaries, and elimination of opportunities in higher cost of living areas where nursing salaries might be higher but wouldn't offset increased housing and living expenses. The career flexibility reduction resulting from loan obligations included pressure to maintain steady employment even in positions that weren't good fits, inability to pursue additional education or training improving career prospects, and elimination of volunteer opportunities providing networking and skill development, but no immediate income. At this point in Emily's journey, 20 months after completing her nursing degree with the expectation advanced education would provide career stability and financial security, she found herself trapped in a cycle of part-time employment providing insufficient income for loan repayment, while requiring full-time commitment across multiple positions. The educational investment supposed to break her family's cycle of financial instability had instead created debt obligations making financial stability impossible, while restricting her career options to survival-focused employment rather than the meaningful nursing practice she had envisioned when first applying to college 7 years earlier. What Emily couldn't have known as she struggled through another day juggling multiple jobs while managing overwhelming debt obligations was that the worst aspects of her financial crisis still lay ahead, and the true test of her resilience would come when circumstances beyond her control would transform her difficult but manageable situation into a desperate crisis, forcing her to make decisions everyone would advise against, ultimately leading to the discovery vindicating her persistence. and transforming her financial nightmare into extraordinary opportunity. The student loan debt avalanche burying. Emily Winters began with what seemed like a routine notification in November 2023, when Ed Financial Services informed her that her federal loan portfolio was being transferred to Mohela, Missouri Higher Education Loan Authority as part of a massive federal servicing contract reorganization, affecting millions of borrowers across the United States. The transfer notification arriving via email and postal mail included warnings about potential payment processing delays, instructions for creating new online accounts, and assurances that borrower benefits and payment history would be preserved. During the transition, promises proving devastatingly false for Emily and thousands of other borrowers caught in the administrative chaos following. The loan servicing transfer complications, beginning immediately after the Mohela transition, included login credentials not working despite following all setup instructions, customer service phone lines resulting in 3-hour hold times before disconnecting automatically, and payment processing systems offline for weeks during the critical period when Emily's monthly payments were due. The payment application errors occurring during the transition included Emily's November payment of $1.980 being applied to interest only instead of principal and interest as intended, December payment being posted to the wrong loan group and credited to someone else's account, and January payment being rejected despite sufficient funds in Emily's checking account and proper electronic authorization. The customer service nightmare Emily experienced during the Mohela transition included representatives unable to access her complete loan history, conflicting information about payment due dates and amounts, and transfers between different departments, requiring explaining her situation repeatedly to staff members unfamiliar with the loan servicing transfer process. The documentation requests Mohela made included requiring Emily to provide employment verification, income documentation, and payment history that should have been available in their systems, while threatening default proceedings if documentation wasn't received within deadlines shorter than standard postal delivery times. The automated payment disruption occurring during the servicing transfer eliminated Emily's auto-pay discount of 0% to 5% on her federal loans, required re-enrollment in electronic payment systems not functioning properly, and triggered late fees when the automated system failed to process payments successfully debited from Emily's bank account. The late fee accumulation resulting from system failures included $75 penalties for each missed or misapplied payment, additional interest charges accumulating daily on unpaid balances, and credit reporting showing missed payments despite Emily's attempts to maintain her payment schedule during the administrative transition. The income-driven repayment recertification crisis coinciding with the loan servicing transfer included Mohela's requirement that Emily resubmit all income documentation, despite completing annual recertification with Ed Financial just 2 months earlier, new forms unavailable online due to system problems, and processing delays resulting in Emily's payments reverting to standard 10-year repayment amounts of $2,640 monthly while her recertification was pending review. The recertification processing delays extending for 5 months included Emily making payments she couldn't afford at the higher amount, accumulation of additional interest during the review period, and retroactive payment adjustments creating confusion about her account balance and payment history. The private loan complications accelerating during the same period included Sallie Mae's notification that Emily's variable interest rates were increasing from 9.75% to 12.4% due to Federal Reserve rate adjustments, payment amount increases from $490 to $580 monthly for her private loan obligations, and elimination of forbearance options previously providing temporary relief. During periods of financial hardship, the private loan servicer communications Emily received included promotional materials for loan consolidation requiring excellent credit scores she no longer possessed, offers for additional borrowing at even higher interest rates, and warnings about default consequences including immediate acceleration of full loan balances and aggressive collection procedures. The credit score destruction accelerating during the loan servicing chaos. Included late payment reporting occurring despite Emily's attempts to maintain payments. During system failures, credit utilization increases when Emily used credit cards to cover living expenses, while increased loan payments consumed more of her income. And account closure notifications from credit card companies monitoring her debt-to-income ratio and deciding she represented excessive risk. The credit monitoring alerts Emily received included notifications of score decreases from 386 to 318 within 3 months. New collection accounts appearing due to medical bills she couldn't afford. During the loan payment crisis and identity monitoring, warnings about potential fraud when multiple creditors attempted to verify her information simultaneously. The employment impact resulting from Emily's escalating financial crisis included performance issues at Riverside Community Hospital when stress and sleeplessness affected her clinical judgment. During patient care, attendance problems when loan servicing phone calls required hours-long holds during business hours, and professional concerns when Emily's personal financial crisis began affecting her ability to advocate effectively for patients facing similar economic hardships. The supervisor documentation accumulating in Emily's employment file included written warnings about emotional boundaries with patients, concerns about her availability during required training sessions, and performance improvement plans requiring enhanced nursing skills while Emily was struggling with personal trauma, mirroring her patients' experiences. The multiple employment coordination crisis developing when Emily's loan payments increased included scheduling conflicts between her 3 different positions, transportation costs exceeding her vehicle's reliability, and time management failures when loan servicing problems required business hour phone calls, conflicting with her work obligations. The income volatility resulting from these complications included reduced hours at the urgent care clinic when Emily couldn't guarantee availability. During peak periods, elimination from overtime opportunities at the hospice when her reliability was questioned, and loss of premium shift differentials at Riverside when Emily declined weekend assignments. Due to exhaustion and transportation problems, the housing instability accelerating during Emily's loan payment crisis included eviction proceedings initiated by her landlord when rent payments became consistently late. Due to increased loan obligations, utility disconnection warnings when Emily prioritized loan payments over electricity and water bills, and credit check failures eliminating her from consideration for alternative housing options. The rental market discrimination Emily encountered included landlords rejecting applications based on her debt-to-income ratio, security deposit requirements exceeding her available savings, and application fees consuming money needed for basic survival while providing no guarantee of housing approval. The transportation breakdown crisis developing simultaneously included Emily's 2013 Honda Civic, requiring $2,800 in transmission repairs she couldn't afford, expired vehicle registration due to inability to pay renewal fees while managing increased loan payments, and auto insurance cancellation when automatic payments failed due to insufficient funds in her checking account after loan payment increases. The vehicle dependency characterizing Emily's employment situation included 35-mile daily commutes between her 3 job locations, patient home visits required for hospice care, and emergency transportation needs when working urgent care shifts, potentially requiring immediate travel to main hospital facilities. The medical debt accumulation beginning during Emily's financial crisis included urgent care visits for stress-related symptoms when Emily couldn't afford primary care appointments, prescription medications for anxiety and depression not fully covered by her high-deductible health insurance, and dental problems requiring immediate attention, generating bills exceeding $3,200 for procedures that couldn't be postponed. The healthcare rationing Emily implemented included skipping routine preventive care to reduce co-payment expenses, medication splitting to make prescriptions last longer, and avoidance of mental health treatment despite working in trauma-exposed positions requiring emotional support and stress management. The insurance complications multiplying during Emily's crisis included health insurance premium increases when her employer changed carriers, elimination of mental health benefits, providing some coverage for stress-related treatment and disability, insurance gaps leaving Emily vulnerable to income loss if health problems prevented her from maintaining her demanding work schedule. The insurance claim processing problems Emily encountered included prior authorization delays for medications requiring immediate availability, coverage denials for treatments her physicians considered medically necessary, and appeals processes requiring extensive documentation and business hour phone calls, conflicting with her work obligations. The food insecurity reaching critical levels during this period included elimination of grocery shopping except for basic necessities like rice and beans, increased reliance on food banks serving healthcare workers but having limited hours and availability, and frequent meal skipping when transportation costs and loan payments consumed money needed for food purchases. The nutritional deficiency resulting from inadequate food access included weight loss affecting Emily's physical stamina during long nursing shifts, cognitive function impacts when irregular eating affected her blood sugar levels and concentration abilities, and immune system compromise increasing her susceptibility to illness during the high-stress period when she couldn't afford to miss work. The utility service disconnection cascade, beginning during Emily's loan payment crisis, included electricity termination by Portland General Electric after $720 in unpaid bills accumulated, internet service cancellation eliminating her ability to access online banking and loan servicer websites, and cell phone service suspension interrupting communication with employers and patients, depending on her availability for urgent care and hospice services. The utility restoration complications Emily faced included security deposits of $500, $700 per service when reconnecting after disconnection, late fees, and reconnection charges exceeding the original bill amounts, and same-day payment requirements, demanding cash or money orders when Emily's banking relationships had been damaged by overdraft problems. The banking relationship deterioration accelerating during the loan servicing crisis included overdraft fees accumulating when automated loan payments were processed, despite insufficient funds due to payment amount increases, account closure by KeyBank when negative balances persisted for more than 45 days, and elimination of direct deposit capabilities, forcing Emily to use expensive check cashing services for her employment payments. The financial isolation resulting from banking problems included inability to establish new checking accounts due to ChexSystem's reporting, reliance on prepaid debit cards, charging fees for basic transactions, and cash-only financial management making bill paying difficult and expensive. The loan default acceleration, beginning in February 2024, included missed payments when Emily's income couldn't cover the increased payment amounts, resulting from servicing transfer complications, default notices arriving via certified mail requiring immediate payment of full loan balances, and collection agency assignments, beginning aggressive contact attempts including daily phone calls and workplace communication threats. The default consequences Mohala explained included immediate acceleration of full loan principal balances totaling $197, zero after interest accumulation, elimination of income-driven repayment options and deferment eligibility, and credit reporting, further damaging Emily's ability to secure housing and employment. The collection agency harassment intensifying during Emily's default period included representatives from Premier Credit calling Emily's workplace requesting to speak with her about urgent financial matters, threats to garnish wages from her nursing positions, and demands for immediate payment arrangements requiring monthly amounts exceeding her total income from all three employment positions. The collection tactics Emily experienced included suggestions she borrow money from family members to satisfy debt obligations, recommendations she take additional jobs or work additional hours despite her current 70-hour work week, and implications. Her professional licenses could be affected by unpaid student loan obligations, The legal proceeding threats collection agencies made included garnishment warnings, reducing Emily's take-home pay by 25%, asset seizure possibilities including her vehicle essential for maintaining employment, and court appearances requiring time off work and potential attorney representation she couldn't afford. The legal notice documentation Emily received included summons for debt examinations, conflicting with her mandatory work schedules, judgment warnings creating permanent records affecting future employment opportunities, and asset disclosure requirements, revealing her complete inability to satisfy debt obligations while maintaining basic survival needs. The professional license complications emerging during Emily's financial crisis included concerns from state nursing board representatives about nurses' financial stability, affecting their ability to manage patient care and make appropriate treatment decisions, continuing education requirements Emily couldn't afford during her debt crisis, and professional liability insurance increases reflecting higher risk assessments. For practitioners experiencing financial stress, the ethics consultation Emily pursued through professional organizations included discussions about boundary issues when providing health care to patients. While experiencing similar problems, supervision requirements for managing personal stress, potentially affecting clinical judgment, and documentation standards for maintaining professional competence during personal crisis periods. The peer relationship deterioration occurring during Emily's escalating crisis included isolation from nursing colleagues, unable to understand the severity of her financial situation, reduced participation in professional development activities due to registration costs and time constraints, and workplace tension when Emily's personal problems began affecting team dynamics and patient care quality. The professional network erosion resulting from Emily's crisis included eliminated opportunities for career advancement through professional relationships, reduced access to job referrals and recommendations improving her employment situation, and loss of mentorship relationships with experienced nurses previously providing career guidance and emotional support. The family relationship strain intensifying during Emily's debt crisis included her father, Thomas, taking on additional construction jobs to help with Emily's basic expenses, while managing his own financial struggles, guilt about the educational investment creating impossible debt obligations rather than financial security, and family conflicts when relatives questioned Emily's career choices and suggested abandoning nursing for more lucrative employment. The intergenerational stress characterizing family discussions included Emily's younger brother Jack postponing his own education plans due to witnessing Emily's financial crisis, extended family members offering advice about just paying off the loans without understanding the mathematical impossibility of Emily's situation, and isolation from family gatherings when Emily couldn't afford transportation or contribute to shared expenses. The mental health deterioration accelerating during the debt avalanche included panic attacks triggered by collection agency calls, severe depression affecting Emily's ability to provide effective health care services to patients, and trauma symptoms resulting from constant financial threat and harassment. The therapeutic irony Emily experienced included providing health intervention for patients while being unable to access health care treatment for her own stress-related symptoms, understanding trauma-informed care principles while experiencing financial trauma affecting every aspect of her daily functioning, and maintaining professional competence standards while struggling with personal mental health challenges requiring treatment she couldn't afford. The medication access crisis developing during this period included inability to afford anxiety medications, previously helping Emily manage stress-related symptoms, rationing of antidepressants to make prescriptions last longer despite potentially dangerous dose reductions, and elimination of therapy appointments, providing essential support during previous difficult periods. The self-medication risks Emily faced included increased caffeine consumption to manage fatigue from working multiple jobs, alcohol use as a sleep aid when stress prevented rest, and over-the-counter medication dependency for managing stress-related physical symptoms requiring medical attention she couldn't afford. The sleep deprivation cycle characterizing Emily's crisis included insomnia caused by anxiety about loan payments and collection calls, interrupted sleep when working overnight shifts at the hospice, and nightmares about homelessness. And professional failure, reflecting her realistic fears about potential consequences of her financial situation. The fatigue impact affecting Emily's work performance included concentration problems during patient care, delayed response times when managing urgent care situations, and emotional exhaustion, reducing her empathy and therapeutic effectiveness during a period when patients needed consistent support. The social isolation intensifying during Emily's debt crisis included elimination of social activities requiring financial expenditure, reduced communication with friends, unable to understand the severity of her situation, and withdrawal from professional networking events providing career advancement opportunities, but requiring registration fees and time away from income-generating employment. The relationship impact Emily's financial crisis created included dating impossibility when every conversation involved financial stress, family tension when Emily couldn't contribute to household expenses or special occasions, and friendship strain when colleagues recognized Emily's declining performance and emotional stability. The seasonal employment complications affecting Emily's crisis included reduced hours at all 3 positions during administrative restructuring periods, elimination of overtime opportunities during holiday periods when supervisory coverage decreased, and increased competition for available shifts when other part-time employees needed additional income during slow periods. The income unpredictability resulting from seasonal variations included monthly earnings ranging from $2,000 to $140 to $3,670 depending on patient census and available shifts, making budget planning impossible and preventing consistent loan payments, potentially preventing further default consequences. The tax complications emerging during Emily's financial crisis included inability to claim education credits due to her loan default status, loss of tax refunds to federal student loan collection, eliminating her primary source of emergency funds, and additional tax obligations when loan modification attempts created taxable forgiveness amounts. Despite providing no actual financial relief, the tax preparation costs Emily couldn't afford included professional assistance for navigating education credit complications, software fees for managing complex tax situations involving multiple employers and loan modification attempts, and documentation expenses for maintaining records required for potential loan forgiveness applications. The professional development elimination Emily implemented during her crisis included cancellation of conference registrations, providing networking opportunities, postponement of specialty certification programs improving employment prospects, and reduced participation in continuing education beyond minimum licensing requirements. The career advancement barriers resulting from Emily's financial situation included inability to accept unpaid leadership opportunities, potentially leading to promotion, geographic limitations preventing pursuit of opportunities in higher-paying markets, and time constraints eliminating evening classes or additional training qualifying her for better positions. The loan rehabilitation attempts Emily pursued included applications for federal loan rehabilitation programs requiring 9 consecutive on-time payments, but not accounting for her variable income from multiple part-time positions, income verification requirements complicated by her multiple employers and irregular schedules, and rehabilitation payment calculations exceeding her available income. After basic survival expenses, the rehabilitation program limitations Emily discovered included requirements for payments higher than her previous income-driven amounts, processing delays continuing to accumulate default consequences during application review, and program restrictions eliminating benefits available under previous repayment plans. The debt consolidation impossibility Emily encountered included credit score requirements she no longer met due to default and collection reporting, income verification standards multiple part-time positions couldn't satisfy, and debt-to-income ratios exceeding acceptable lending criteria for conventional consolidation loans. The alternative lending options Emily investigated included payday loans, with interest rates exceeding 450% annually, title loans requiring vehicle equity she didn't possess, and personal loans from predatory lenders creating additional payment obligations without addressing her student loan crisis. The legal consultation costs Emily couldn't afford included attorney fees for bankruptcy consultation revealing student loans weren't dischargeable, legal representation for collection defense requiring retainers exceeding her available savings, and document preparation services for loan modification applications charging fees needed for basic survival expenses. The self-representation challenges Emily faced included court procedures requiring knowledge she didn't possess, legal deadlines conflicting with her work schedules, and documentation requirements demanding time and resources she couldn't provide, while maintaining employment necessary for basic survival. The emergency assistance application process Emily pursued included non-profit organizations serving healthcare workers facing financial crisis but having waiting lists exceeding 5 months, and eligibility requirements excluding people with full-time employment. Despite inadequate income levels, the assistance program limitations Emily discovered included maximum benefits insignificantly impacting her debt obligations, one-time assistance providing temporary relief without addressing underlying payment impossibility, and program restrictions preventing repeated assistance for ongoing crisis situations. The credential maintenance crisis developing during Emily's financial emergency included nursing licensing renewal fees she couldn't afford, while managing collection agency demands, continuing education requirements requiring time and money unavailable during her survival-focused employment schedule, and professional liability insurance increases reflecting higher risk assessments for practitioners experiencing financial instability. The license suspension threats Emily faced included potential loss of professional credentials, providing her only source of income, regulatory investigations of practitioners whose financial problems might affect patient care, quality, and ethics, board concerns about nurses' ability to maintain professional boundaries while experiencing personal financial trauma. At this point in Emily's crisis, 28 months after completing nursing school with expectations of career stability and meaningful work, she found herself trapped in an accelerating debt spiral making survival increasingly impossible. Despite working more hours and maintaining employment in her chosen profession, the student loan servicing failures triggering her crisis had created default consequences, eliminating most options for debt resolution while collection agencies pursued remedies, making continued employment and basic survival mathematically impossible. The mathematical reality Emily faced showed monthly obligations exceeding $120 when including student loan default payments, collection agency demands, and basic survival expenses, while her variable income from 3 part-time healthcare positions averaged $3,240 monthly and was declining due to performance issues related to stress and financial trauma. The conventional wisdom everyone offered, bankruptcy, career change, family assistance, failed to address the core problem that student loan debt couldn't be discharged, while nursing employment couldn't generate sufficient income for debt service and basic survival. What Emily couldn't have known as she struggled through another 16-hour day managing patient care while facing her own financial crisis was that the worst acceleration of her debt avalanche was still approaching, and the final cascade of system failures would soon force her into circumstances so desperate that the seemingly impossible decision about a fire-damaged church in rural Oregon would become the only choice, offering any hope of survival despite universal opposition from everyone she trusted and conventional wisdom suggesting the decision would guarantee her complete financial destruction. The employment catastrophe pushing Emily Winters from merely impossible circumstances into complete desperation began on what seemed like an ordinary Thursday morning in March 2025, when Riverside Community Hospital's Chief Nursing Officer Patricia Reynolds called an emergency staff meeting to announce that their primary operating grant, a $3.6 million community healthcare initiative supporting 65% of the hospital's operations, had been eliminated in the latest state budget reconciliation, effective immediately with no transition period or alternative funding identified. The funding elimination destroying Emily's most stable employment. Included termination of her geriatric care position, providing $24 per hour for 36 hours weekly. Elimination of health insurance benefits covering her stress-related medical needs, and loss of professional development opportunities, essential for maintaining her nursing licensing requirements. The healthcare sector collapse accelerating throughout the spring of 2025 included simultaneous funding cuts to medical facilities across Oregon, competition among unemployed nurses for the few remaining positions surviving budget eliminations, and salary reductions at organizations managing to continue operations with reduced staffing, and eliminated benefits. The employment market saturation Emily encountered during her job search included applications for positions receiving over 150 qualified candidates, interviews where employers acknowledged they couldn't offer competitive salaries due to reimbursement constraints, and temporary contract opportunities providing no job security or benefits while requiring the same professional qualifications and responsibilities as permanent positions. The unemployment benefit complications Emily discovered after losing her primary employment included disqualification due to her continued part-time work at the urgent care clinic and hospice, weekly benefit amounts calculated based on her highest earning quarter but not accounting for variable hours and multiple employers, and job search requirements demanding full-time availability, while she maintained her remaining part-time positions to prevent complete income loss. The unemployment office bureaucracy Emily navigated included weekly reporting requirements, conflicting with her work schedules, in-person appointments at offices requiring transportation costs she couldn't afford, and documentation demands requiring employer verification from organizations eliminating HR departments due to budget cuts. The urgent care position elimination following Riverside's closure included East Side Medical Clinic's announcement that private equity acquisition would force consolidation of urgent care services, elimination of evening shift positions providing Emily's secondary income source, and transition to physician assistant-only staffing eliminating registered nurse positions. Throughout the clinic network, the specialized training Emily completed for urgent care work became worthless overnight when paid positions were eliminated, while volunteer opportunities required time commitments she couldn't afford when every available are needed to generate income for basic survival and debt service obligations. The hospice employment instability intensifying during the healthcare funding crisis included Serenity House's reduction of overnight shift positions due to Medicare reimbursement cuts, increased competition for remaining shifts among staff members, losing other employment, and elimination of premium pay rates for weekend and holiday coverage previously providing essential income during Emily's financial crisis. The residential care industry consolidation occurring throughout Oregon included closure of smaller facilities unable to survive reduced federal funding, corporate acquisition of surviving operations prioritizing profit margins over staff compensation, and conversion to part-time positions eliminating benefits while maintaining the same care responsibilities. The healthcare employment barrier Emily encountered during her desperate job search included hospital social work positions requiring specialized certification she couldn't afford to obtain, medical systems implementing hiring freezes due to reimbursement uncertainties, and healthcare organizations requiring credit checks eliminating Emily from consideration due to her student loan default status. The healthcare sector preference for candidates without financial stress reflected concerns about nurses' ability to make appropriate patient care decisions when experiencing personal financial crisis, insurance liability issues when practitioners faced potential conflicts of interest, and patient safety considerations when stressed employees might make judgment errors affecting critical care. The private practice impossibility Emily explored included licensing requirements for independent nursing practice demanding 3 years of supervised experience she hadn't completed, liability insurance costs exceeding $3,400 annually for independent practitioners, and startup expenses for office space and professional development requiring capital investment she couldn't make while managing survival expenses and debt obligations. The private practice income reality licensed practitioners explained. Included months of patient development before generating sustainable income. Insurance reimbursement delays requiring cash flow management during payment processing periods. And business management responsibilities requiring time and expertise beyond clinical training. The retail employment desperation Emily pursued included applications for Target, Safeway, and pharmacy technician positions offering immediate employment, but paying wages insufficient for her debt obligations and basic survival needs. Interviews, where managers questioned her commitment due to her advanced education, and scheduling conflicts when retail availability requirements conflicted with her remaining health care commitments. The employment discrimination Emily faced included assumptions she would leave retail positions as soon as better opportunities became available, concerns about overqualification creating employee retention problems, and wage offers reflecting entry-level status despite her bachelor's degree and professional experience. The gig economy attempts Emily tried included DoorDash and Instacart delivery requiring vehicle reliability her 2013 Honda Civic couldn't provide. Freelance healthcare content writing opportunities paying per piece rates, averaging $18 hourly, without benefits or consistency. And online health coaching positions requiring technology and internet access she couldn't maintain. Due to utility disconnections, the gig work income unpredictability Emily experienced included weekly earnings ranging from $112 to $390 depending on demand and vehicle availability. Payment processing delays occurring when she most needed immediate income, and tax complications requiring quarterly estimated payments she couldn't afford while managing immediate survival needs. The eviction acceleration coinciding with Emily's employment crisis included her landlord, Marcus Wilson's patience exhausting after 5 months of partial rent payments. Legal proceedings requiring court appearances during business hours when Emily needed to be working or job searching, and 21-day notice requirements providing insufficient time to secure alternative housing. With her damaged credit and employment instability, the eviction court proceedings Emily attended without legal representation included housing court judges sympathetic but legally required to enforce lease agreements, mediation attempts requiring payment arrangements Emily couldn't meet, and final judgments creating permanent eviction records affecting her future housing applications. The alternative housing impossibility Emily discovered during her eviction period included rental applications requiring income verification showing gross monthly earnings 3 times the rent amount, security deposits ranging from $2,000 to $100 to $3,600 for apartments considering applicants with poor credit, and application fees of $175 to $325 per property consuming money needed for basic survival. While providing no guarantee of housing approval, the housing discrimination Emily encountered included landlords explicitly stating they wouldn't rent to people with student loan defaults, property managers requiring employment verification from full-time positions she no longer possessed, and credit score requirements eliminating her from consideration for safe, affordable housing options. The certified mail discovery changing everything occurred on April 15, 2025, when Emily retrieved a legal notice from Hartwell and Associates attorneys, representing the estate of one Margaret Thornton informing Emily she had been named as the sole beneficiary of a fire-damaged Baptist church property in Whispering Pines, Oregon, despite Emily having no memory of anyone by that name or any connection to the remote eastern Oregon community. The inheritance notification seeming like cruel irony included property descriptions of a 600 square foot church building severely damaged in a lightning strike in 2022, located on 8 acres 35 miles from the nearest town, with accumulated property taxes totaling $78,000 and immediate repair estimates ranging from $94,000 to $143,000 just to make the structure weathertight and safe for occupancy. The estate attorney consultation Emily arranged using her last $275 revealed that Margaret Thornton had been an elderly woman who had attended nursing school at Oregon Health Sciences University during the 1970s worked as a public health nurse for Oregon's Department of Health for 42 years, and apparently followed Emily's academic and professional progress through alumni networks. Before her death in February 2025, the inheritance conditions the estate, attorney explained, included immediate responsibility for property taxes accumulated during the 3 years since the fire, liability for ongoing property maintenance and security, and ownership of a building local contractors estimated would require complete reconstruction to be habitable. The expert consultation Emily pursued using borrowed money included a building inspector estimating repair costs of $143,000 to $212, zero for basic habitability, a contractor warning about structural damage making renovation economically impossible, and a real estate agent describing the property as unsuitable for anyone seeking reasonable access to employment or modern conveniences. The financial analysis Emily completed regarding the church inheritance revealed that property acquisition would require immediate payment of $78,000 in back taxes, while creating additional obligations for insurance, utilities installation, and basic repairs she couldn't afford with her non-existent income and destroyed credit. The expert advice consensus Emily received from attorneys, contractors, and family members uniformly recommended declining the inheritance to avoid additional debt obligations, accepting homelessness as preferable to rural isolation without employment opportunities, and focusing on conventional debt resolution, potentially providing manageable payment arrangements for her student loan obligations. The decision timeline property tax authorities imposed included 21-day requirements for inheritance acceptance and tax payment, foreclosure proceedings eliminating the inheritance opportunity if taxes weren't paid immediately, an immediate liability for property maintenance and insurance beginning upon inheritance acceptance, regardless of her ability to pay ongoing obligations. The mathematical impossibility Emily faced included property obligations exceeding $4,600 monthly, including taxes, insurance, and basic utilities, while her potential income in Whispering Pines was essentially zero with no health care positions available within commuting distance. The desperate decision Emily made despite universal opposition included liquidating her final possessions, including laptop computer, remaining jewelry, and household goods through emergency pawn shop sales, providing for $1,100 in cash, borrowing $3,000 to $100 from predatory lenders at interest rates exceeding to 140% annually, and accepting that inheritance acceptance would consume her final resources, while potentially providing shelter during her recovery period. The point of no return Emily reached included recognition that conventional approaches guaranteed immediate homelessness, while church ownership provided theoretical shelter, even if employment remained impossible and debt obligations continued accumulating. The inheritance acceptance process Emily completed on May 3, 2025, included signing legal documents, making her responsible for all property obligations, arranging emergency payment of back taxes through money orders and cash advances, and acknowledging that successful property ownership would leave her with approximately $420 for all other expenses, while facing immediate obligations for basic utilities, insurance, and transportation to reach the remote property. The family relationship damage resulting from Emily's decision included her father's disappointed warning about throwing away everything we've worked for, her brother's frustration about irrational decisions making everything worse, and extended family consensus that Emily had lost perspective and judgment due to stress and desperation. The church rival occurring on May 8, 2025, revealed a property worse than all expert warnings suggested, with lightning damage creating partial roof collapse, water damage from years of exposure rotting floor joists and creating mold problems, and structural issues making large portions of the building unsafe for occupancy. The initial shelter arrangements Emily managed included sleeping in her car in the church parking area, using camping equipment purchased with her remaining cash for basic survival needs, and attempting to secure one room appearing structurally sound enough for temporary habitation. The isolation reality Emily faced included cell phone service intermittent, and requiring driving 12 miles to reach reliable coverage, internet access non-existent without expensive satellite installation, and grocery shopping requiring 70-mile round trips to reach basic supplies. The spring preparation emergency Emily confronted included Oregon mountain weather, making unheated shelter uncomfortable, heating system installation requirements exceeding her resources, and insulation needs essential for comfort during fluctuating mountain temperatures. The church exploration Emily undertook during her first week of ownership included systematic examination of lightning damage, water intrusion assessment, and structural evaluation using basic tools found in abandoned maintenance areas. The building investigation Emily pursued revealed the lightning had struck the bell tower, but hadn't reached the main sanctuary area, where original 1970s construction remained largely intact. Despite water damage from roof problems developing after the storm eliminated proper drainage systems, the baptismal area inspection Emily conducted while cleaning debris from the sanctuary revealed unusual acoustic properties when her footsteps created metallic echoing sounds, inconsistent with the concrete slab foundation supporting the rest of the building. The floor examination Emily pursued using a pry bar found among abandoned tools revealed several floorboards near the baptismal appearing to be newer replacements, not matching the original pine flooring throughout the sanctuary. The hidden access discovery Emily made while investigating the mismatched flooring included a concealed panel beneath the baptismal area opening to reveal a carefully constructed underground chamber, approximately 18 by 24 feet, accessed by metal steps and containing climate-controlled storage systems remaining operational. Despite the building's abandonment, the chamber investigation Emily conducted using her cell phone flashlight revealed professional-grade filing systems, humidity control equipment apparently professionally installed, and electrical systems separate from the church's main power infrastructure. The document discovery occurring when Emily opened the filing cabinets revealed hundreds of manila folders containing CIA letterhead documents, surveillance reports with classification markings, and correspondence between federal agents appearing to span from the 1970s through the 1990s. The file examination Emily conducted revealed detailed surveillance records of environmental activists, anti-nuclear protesters, and political dissidents, including photographs, wiretap transcripts, and operational reports documenting domestic surveillance programs conducted without public knowledge or legal authorization. The document authentication research Emily conducted using her intermittent internet connection revealed many files contained information about surveillance programs, subject to congressional investigations, court cases demanding disclosure of CIA domestic surveillance activities, and historical research unable to locate primary source documentation, appearing preserved in the church's hidden chamber. The historical significance assessment Emily pursued through online research suggested her discovery represented evidence of domestic surveillance programs, concealed from congressional oversight and public scrutiny for over 25 years. The legal consultation Emily ranged through secure communication methods led her to attorney Michelle Parker from the Government Accountability Project, who confirmed Emily's discovery potentially qualified for federal whistleblower protection under laws designed to encourage disclosure of government misconduct. Parker's initial assessment of photographed documents revealed evidence of domestic surveillance programs operating without congressional authorization, civil rights violations denied by federal officials, and intelligence activities concealed from legislative oversight committees responsible for ensuring constitutional compliance. The document organization project Emily undertook during her first month in the church revealed the systematic nature of the hidden archive, with files organized by operation names, target categories, and chronological periods suggesting decades of coordinated surveillance activities. The file categorization Emily completed using her systematic approach revealed over 1,650 individual documents spanning domestic surveillance operations from 1971 to 1998, including memoranda between CIA directors and field agents, operational budgets for activities funded without congressional knowledge, and correspondence revealing coordination between federal agencies and local law enforcement for surveillance activities. The government contact Emily initiated through Congressional Intelligence Oversight Committees resulted in immediate federal investigation of the documents, CIA verification of authenticity through classified databases, and recognition that Emily's discovery represented the most significant domestic surveillance document recovery in decades. The whistleblower protection federal investigators provided included personal security measures due to the sensitive nature of the materials, legal representation for navigating federal disclosure, procedures, and preliminary assessment that Emily's discovery qualified for substantial compensation under federal whistleblower protection statutes. The authentication process federal investigators conducted included forensic analysis of paper composition and printing methods confirming the document's authenticity, cross-reference verification with existing declassified materials corroborating operational details and personnel names, and historical analysis placing the documents within known CIA surveillance programs. Previously lacking primary source documentation, the investigation coordination developing around Emily's disclosure included involvement of the CIA's Inspector General, Congressional Intelligence Committees, and Department of Justice officials responsible for reviewing historical intelligence, community violations. The compensation determination federal officials announced included preliminary whistleblower reward assessment of $14.6 million under federal protection statutes, representing maximum compensation for disclosures providing substantial assistance to congressional oversight and historical understanding of government activities. The payment structure officials established included immediate award of $3.8 million for Emily's initial disclosure and cooperation with authentication, quarterly payments totaling $7.2 million over 2 years for ongoing assistance with congressional hearings and legal proceedings, and final payment of $3.6 million upon completion of investigation and implementation of reforms. Based on disclosed evidence, the debt elimination process Emily's compensation enabled included immediate payment of all student loan obligations totaling to $117, zero plus accumulated penalties and collection costs, resolution of legal proceedings threatening garnishment and asset seizure, and establishment of legal representation for addressing collection agency harassment and credit repair. The financial restoration Emily achieved through her whistleblower compensation included elimination of all debt obligations within 45 days of initial payment, establishment of emergency savings preventing future financial vulnerability, and investment of remaining compensation providing permanent financial security. The consulting opportunities emerging from Emily's disclosure included contracts with congressional oversight committees valuing her analytical skills and attention to detail for ongoing investigation of intelligence community activities, academic institutions seeking assistance with historical research about domestic surveillance programs, and government reform organizations wanting her insights about improving whistleblower protection and encouraging disclosure of government misconduct. The career transformation Emily experienced included transition from survival-focused employment to meaningful work utilizing her nursing training in government accountability and historical preservation. The church renovation project Emily's financial security enabled included complete restoration of the lightning-damaged structure into a comfortable residence and research facility, installation of modern utilities and internet infrastructure allowing remote consulting work, and preservation of the hidden chamber as a historical archive, honoring the significance of her discovery. The property transformation Emily achieved included conversion of the church sanctuary into a library and research space, residential renovation of auxiliary buildings for comfortable living, and security improvements protecting both her privacy and the historical significance of the property. The life transformation Emily accomplished through her desperate church purchase included vindication of the decision everyone had opposed, demonstration that maintaining personal integrity during impossible circumstances could create extraordinary outcomes, and proof that conventional wisdom often failed to account for possibilities that couldn't be predicted or planned. The historical significance Emily's discovery achieved included contributing to public understanding of domestic surveillance programs, supporting congressional reforms of intelligence community oversight, and preserving documentation missing from historical records for decades. Emily Winter's extraordinary journey from a desperate nurse facing homelessness to a nationally significant whistleblower and government accountability consultant proved that sometimes the most seemingly impossible choices appearing guaranteed to accelerate failure according to all expert analysis can lead to outcomes vindicating faith in principles over pragmatism and demonstrating that individual courage can create historical change extending far beyond personal circumstances to serve constitutional democracy and public welfare. The fire-damaged church, seeming like Emily's final desperate mistake, had become the foundation for a new life of financial security, meaningful work, and historical significance, honoring both her healthcare values and commitment to truth and justice. Emily's story proved that maintaining ethical principles during systematic oppression could create opportunities for extraordinary service, and individual persistence facing impossible circumstances could reveal hidden resources, transforming personal survival into public benefit and historical contribution. Up next, you've got two more remarkable stories right on your screen. If this one inspired you, you won't want to miss these. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from U.S.